This video is sponsored by Clean My Mac. Stick around till the end of this video to find out more. It's been nearly 2 months since I got this M4 MacBook Air, and every year it's usually the MacBook Air, the Mac that I recommend to everyone. But does this new M4 MacBook Air still live up to that hype? Are the new features and improvements to Apple Silicon with the M4 still making it the laptop to beat? Well, let's talk about it, and we'll start with what's new this year and how those changes have treated me over the last 2 months. But there really aren't a ton of new features year over year, so just keep that in mind. But the one that is noticeable is this new sky blue colorway. Just realized I'm kind of matching. The color is very subtle blue, and I think it looks pretty nice. It really just depends on the lighting though, so sometimes you'll get blue, which maybe like right here you can see a little bit of blue, but then as I get it more directly into light, it kind of turns into a little bit of a silverish gray. I don't mind it at all. I think it looks pretty nice. And there are also rumors of like this color being the new Pro iPhone color for this year, so I guess sky blue kind of might be here to stay for a bit. I think it's on the iPad Air as well. Another new change is that this 12 megapixel front-facing camera now comes with center stage, which is a feature that helps you stay in frame. So if you're moving around your desk a little bit, or you have your MacBook in the kitchen and you're moving around and you're cooking, it'll follow you around. There's also desk view, which is a top-down look of what's in front of you. So if you wanted to show something on your keyboard or your phone, you can do that with desk view. There's a small change to the keyboard, by the way, specifically with the mute key. It's no longer just a key with no volume. It actually has a line striking through it to signify that there's no audio. Yes, that is a real change and one of the last cosmetic differences. The other major change is that we now have the M4 chip, which improves on performance and battery efficiency. Performance on an M3 or M2 model was still very good to this day, so the M4 was not something that I really needed in the MacBook Air, or honestly is a real change that I'm noticing with like real world benefits right now. I don't do a ton of intense work on my MacBook Air. This is basically reserved for travel and basic edits for videos, and largely used for browsing the web, administration work, emails, writing scripts, pretty much the basics. And it does a phenomenal job at those. I've edited photos and videos, like I said, and I have no problem with what I'm doing on it. But I'm also not really pushing this thing to the max. It's usually those one day in, one day out, quick coverage of events type videos, which aren't really too heavy on the machine or really too heavy on the workflow process. It does do a really good job for what it is. The laptop is perfect for students, a great entry-level machine for younger teenagers, a good family computer for those who don't want to break the bank, and honestly, it's probably pretty good for most corporations that are giving their employees a really solid, portable laptop to get the office work done. You're getting a really nice display, by the way, without a few bells and whistles that are on the MacBook Pro models, but it's something that could still stand its own ground. There's a 13 or 15-inch option. This is the 15-inch. Obviously, it's going to come with some extra size and weight, but it is the preferential display size that I would like, so I usually go with the 15-inch MacBook Air. It also has a couple of USB-C ports and MagSafe for faster charging, and I personally love the dual 35-watt USB-C port adapter that comes in the box. Even though, yes, it is charging it slower, you probably want the 65-watt if you want to get it faster, but I like that I have the flexibility to charge 2 USB-C devices on the go. That's always nice for me. The rest of the design is kind of what we had over the last few years. It's kind of the design that we've come to know and love. It's truly a beautiful machine. Some improvements on my end to make things a little bit better, just in my opinion, would be the speakers are not that great. So on the MacBook Pro, you have the speaker grill here, so it's up. Now it's just kind of, underneath everything, and that does muddle the sound a little bit. It's pretty good considering how the speaker placement really is on this machine, but in my opinion, I think that Pro audio shouldn't be reserved for MacBook Pro users. I think that's something that everyone wants. Not necessarily Pro audio, but better audio. I think everybody would like that, especially a device that could be used primarily as a content consumption for those younger crowds, teenagers and college students especially, where you're laying in bed and watching your nightly shows with the nightly shows. How old am I? You're watching content on this machine. You're going to want good audio. My other gripe is that there's no nano texture option, which is probably a very niche issue. I think that is definitely a pro feature, but it's also not on all pro devices. Case in point, you can get it on the 24-inch iMac, and that's just a normal, non-pro, just generic consumer Mac. So nano texture is also available on the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro, so 2 out of 3. But I think it's something that's perfect for those who, have a lot of reflections, they're working outside a lot, and they can't really see the display all too well. Overhead lights and windows, something that I used to have at my old studio where, it was a really big problem. I loved having nano texture, and I just would like the option on the MacBook Air. Now, in terms of configurations, I think I said it before in our first video about this machine, but my personal recommendation is to just get 1 terabyte of storage, no matter what Mac you're getting, especially if you're planning to keep this machine for many years. Mac OS just keeps getting larger, apps are getting larger, everything's getting bigger, and your storage will stay the same. 512 is fine, I would recommend 1 terabyte, and then when it comes to RAM, 16 gigs is the baseline for all of it, and that's fine. If you're gonna be doing a lot of video editing, graphic intensive work, maybe a lot of gaming on this machine, which is very capable with some of the titles that are out there now for the Mac, then get the 10-core GPU. So that's pretty much it right now. The MacBook Air, it's not a drastic improvement, but not every machine at this point in the world is going to be a drastic improvement year over year. But these are definitely not meant for year over year upgrades anyways. So it's going to feel amazing for someone who's coming from a comparable Windows laptop, in my opinion, or even an Intel Mac, or probably even the M1 MacBook Air. That might start to feel a little outdated. It's definitely outdated in the sense of the design. That has been drastically overhauled. That's a good update. But I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. Do you have the new MacBook Air? What are your thoughts? Or if you're thinking about getting one, what configuration, what color? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. Before we end today's video, I do want to give you more information about today's sponsor, Clean My Mac. Chances are you've probably heard of or even used Clean My Mac in years past. I mean, the app has been around since 2008, and being a user since nearly that long, it has come such a long way since then, becoming the ultimate solution for Mac control and care. Which is why you should definitely check out the brand new Clean My Mac, because it's not only incredible at cleaning all of the junk and getting rid of the fluff off of your machine, but it keeps your Mac running as new. Smart Care will give you a nice, thorough scan of your Mac so that you can take complete control over what gets cleaned and how it will perform. But there are so many other features, like the obvious cleanup feature, which everyone wants. You can clear cache, development junk, and unnecessary files that can eat up so much space. And you also have grade A protection with Moonlock anti-malware engine, which will scan for viruses and malware and safely remove any threats on your Mac, as well as a section dedicated to performance, correctly uninstalling applications, and tackling potential clutter on your Mac like your downloads folder or even duplicated files. So keep your Mac tidy with Clean My Mac and try a free 7-day trial by using our code MacRumors20 for 20% off. And you can find all of that info and a link to Clean My Mac in the description down below. Thanks Clean My Mac for sponsoring this video. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.